Okay, we are in the number 6, I think. Yeah. Of the second hymn of the 5th mandala, Artri Rishi, this unique Rishi with his unique vision of Agni. Keme Maryakam Viyavanta Gobhih Nayesham Gopa Aranaschidasa Ya im Jagribhuch Avate Srijanto Ajati Pashva Upanach Chikitvan. Such a diction, beautiful. Who were they that divorced my strength from the herds of light? Against them there was no protector, nor any worker in this war. Let those that took them from me release them to me again. For he with his conscious perceptions comes driving to us our lost herds of the radiances.
Well, who were they indeed? That's the big question of the entire incarnation, is who who was it? Was it something other than oneself? By the way, did we do mantra?
Yes.
Oh, I missed it.
Yes. I think you were doing something with the telephone in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Who are those? And that's what he's asking here. Question. He doesn't answer it. Yeah. Who are those who really made this so difficult for us? Who separated our strength, our power from our knowledge, from the light of knowledge? Why it should be separated? What's the reason? Who is that power? I don't want that power. I want my knowledge to go together with power. I don't want it to be separated from power. Power is in the hands of totally ignorant people, yeah? And knowledge is in the hands of totally powerless people. And that's the situation today. So who separated knowledge and power? Against them there was no protector, nor any worker in this war. It's a very strange, actually, statement. Let us look into what Griffiths say. Who separate my young bull from the cattle, they whose protector was in truth no stranger. Kind of different, yeah? Let those whose hands have seized upon them free them. May he, observant, drive the herd to usward. So, to usward, may he drive them. So those who separated, they should return them back. Those powers, invisible powers of darkness, who took this charge of separating light from another light, the ray of light from another ray of light, who made this light dispersed in the darkness, they should stop doing it, so to say, and return to us the oneness of light.
Is it talking about development of the ego?
Of the whole manifestation, which is now in the darkness, yeah? That we have the very separation of knowledge, from being. What is that power which made it? Who divorced our strength from our herds of light? Why do we have to be so ineffective in knowledge and so powerful without it? It's quite a big question, because in this manifestation, the power and knowledge got separated. Yes, the higher knowledge, the less power, as it were. The more intelligent you are, the less power you have against some, brutes or some criminals. Criminals.
And why on earth what would cause them to release the power once they have it? This is, this, you think that this rishi hasn't had any experience?
Yes, and that is the whole story of the Veda, that these powers, they are called panis, those who live in the dark, and they are stealing our light of perception and hiding it into the subconscious cave. So when Sarama, the intuition of Indra, Sarama, the hound of intuition, runs and finds the hidden treasures in the subconscious cave, they try to bribe her and to make her part of their team, saying that we may share with you all these treasures, and she says, no way. My master comes, Indra, and he will destroy your cave and you, and will release the herds of light. So this is the major myth of the Rig Veda, the major topic. This is the secret of the Veda, that the knowledge and power got separated, which led to the manifestation of the world as we know it. If that separation would not take place, the world would not be manifested in this way, that we are separate beings, that we are many, and we have relations with other beings through ignorance. So there is no knowledge, there is a gap in between, there is a darkness between ray and ray of light, between center and center. And that darkness, who made it? Who separated us from our effective power? In the supramental world, in the world transcendental and the supramental especially, the power and knowledge are immediate. Yeah? Power follows knowledge. Whatever you may wish, will, want, envision, it is immediately realized on that plane. It's immediate realization. It has an immediate effect. You don't need to wait for it to happen. In our world of time and space, it is always delayed, always mismatched. So you make an effort, you make total concentration, and the result comes later, not immediately. Even sometimes when you don't expect it, or sometimes when you stopped waiting for it already. It comes.
Next lifetime.
Or sometimes even next lifetime. So the delay is so huge. Who made this delay? Who made the separation of our perception with our force, with our effective way of being? Why we are so ineffective?
Have any thoughts?
Yeah, that's the whole secret of the Veda. Yes, thoughts are many about it, of course. Many. You have some thoughts why we are so?
Well, I mean, the Upanishads kind of addressed that. And also, you kind of think if ultimately if ultimately there's no other, there's only the self. So some part of oneself must have wanted it. There must have been something, some part of one's own consciousness that wanted to have duality. It said that in the Upanishads that we went over. There must be something, a payoff.
Yeah. Of course, something must have wanted it to have this many different locations of consciousness, and so these many locations of the same consciousness grow into this individual perception. Somebody had to want it.
But
otherwise,
some part of my own strength and my own light and my own there must have been, I mean, otherwise, where would the power come from if it wasn't from your own consciousness?
Of course.
I would like to share a little phrase here from a story in my family tradition. The phrase is hide and seek with God, that, and did this all, which supposes in a story for children that the one who did this desired to play.
Yeah, this is then an explanation which is given by Indian tradition, Leela, yeah? The play, just to play, nothing else. And he will play and he will, enjoy himself, and then he will drop this play and everything goes. Or he will continue as long as he is, so to say. So that is very difficult to find the answer. It's really difficult to find the answer which will be meaningful and satisfactory. Either it is a play, it goes to nothing. Play is nothing. Yeah, he played and he finished. As they described, he sucks his thumb, Krishna, and that's the whole creation. Or Shiva closes his eyes and opens his eyes and says, "Oh, I'm still here." It's so funny. This is it. Yeah, this is the explanation of the creation by Advaitic mind. It's quite interesting. Yeah? By the post-Vedic tradition. But Vedas have their own, yeah? They are not totally there yet. Steve, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was thinking that it's good we don't have the power in the ignorance. It would be incredible.
Good thought. Some of us have, yeah. Trump and others, they have.
Well,
Putin.
the power seems to be given away to money. We gave it away to some forces, it seems, substituting for our own ability to manifest there and then.
Yes.
I don't know why we did it, because
Yeah.
I don't know. As you say, we don't know why it happened. Why did we lose, or why did we give away? Did we lose or did we give away? If we are conscious, it must have been done consciously. Somebody must have done it consciously as one option.
Yeah, Mother has an interesting explanation for this, if you know, maybe some of you know. She also questions the same. Was it an accident that we lost this connection, or it was our decision? Or she was preoccupied with this question all the time, where this kind of separation came from. And her answer was quite unexpected. She says that she saw when we received the gift of free will, when we became conscious human beings, we became conscious one time long ago in this body, that we could exercise mental will. When the mental was formed in the evolutionary process. So that time we had two options. We could have gone straight forward with our own will, creating our worlds, or we could use intermediary powers, which were powers of money actually. These, what we call in other videos, we know them as Anunnakis, or those gods, or those panis, or those, who offered their services. And these services were taken for the sake of becoming important. Some people became important, royal. There was blue bloods were created at that time. Certain powers were given to certain people, magic powers, to rule others. So in this way, the humanity got enslaved by this force. So we do not have direct access through knowledge to power. We need intermediary. We need money. How ridiculous it is. If you have knowledge and you want to exercise it, you cannot exercise it because there is no money. So you cannot reach to anyone. You hardly can find anybody unless you're totally, of course, even if you're totally illumined and liberated, you will need somebody with money coming to your life to make it work. And this is really a very humiliating and belittling way of being. So you have to take care of both, of money and knowledge. You have of power and knowledge, of power separately from knowledge. You have to adjust all your knowledge in a way that it will be sold, that it will be offered, that it will reach out. So you need the intermediary again. So you are not really reaching out directly with your consciousness to power. You do not have access. It's taken away. Yeah, it's a big thought. So these powers, panis, these are, Sri Aurobindo says, they are not really enemies. They are rather, he calls them indriyas of action, yeah, senses of action. So these are what we know as karmendriyas in Sankhya. So it's our hands, feet, the movements by our hands, the movement by our legs, feet, the speech, and procreatory and excretory organs. So all these five are actually, behind them there are forces which are evolving in our consciousness. These are evolutionary forces of consciousness. And they evolved from the very darkness, from the lowest level, yeah, where there is no consciousness. I was thinking today about the same, that the desire is this power which breaks through darkness and through denial of light, yeah, through all the dirt, through all the maya. It breaks through. It has a power to break through. And because of that, it has this delight in it. Because every breaking through the darkness, tamas, and inertia is bringing some delight. Rajas has to be stronger than tamas. And of course, these powers, which grew up, these are powers of consciousness, grew up from this inconscient, they become the very powers of separation of our strength and knowledge. So that's why, and that's why we spoke about it already many times, the whole method of yoga was developed, which allowed us, which made us passive, perceptive. Yeah, we have to become still. We have to sit down still without any movement, without any thought. We quiet the mind. We become quiet in the vital. We stop breathing even, not even moving, breathing, in order to perceive deeper light within us. The moment we start moving, acting, outwardly or inwardly, it doesn't matter, we are separating ourselves from the inner light. It's a weird situation in which we are.
But those panis and those choices, those are ours, right? This is our I mean, that's our unconscious.
It's all ours, and
It's
conscious
all
and
ours. So
yes.
I mean, if they can exist out of our choice on some level, I mean, the fact that, like you said, you have to do something to get out of that choice, but surely we can choose not to be. I mean, we can't really choose not to use the intermediaries. And
no, that's why he says against them there was no protector. You cannot be protected against them. There's no way you can run away from them. They will be always there. This is you. You in that form which you took, in conscient form, and evolved with them. They are you. So there is no any worker in this war. You can't really fight them. They are
I was reading today about integral learning, integral, and it came to me when I read about the verities, the qualities, that they are colored, negatively colored. And now I see that these forces, these pranis, they are invading our values. They are invading our attitudes, coloring them in a negative sense
very, very interesting.
instead of being positive, instead of being feeling goodness. We feel all kind of opposite of goodness. Instead of feeling equality, we feeling inequality. The adverse side is coloring our verities. And I see now that they occupy our faculties.
Right,
They
absolutely.
use their faculties, and
Very
they
good.
also color. They live on the verities. They suck on the verities.
Yeah. They block verities because verities bring the presence of the transcendental ananda and consciousness. That means the Purusha, universal Purusha, will be empowered here. They block it away, and that is darkness in which they work. And by blocking it, they possess our faculties of consciousness. And that's what we are. We are kind of imprisoned by these panis, traders, traffickers. Pani from root pan to trade, yeah, to exchange goods for goods. They are always trading. They do not know the value, the true value of the light, but they know it's valuable to some, so they can trade it, they can sell it for money. And that is what they are about. They are kind of growing on this business of what is going on here. And in this way, they separate our ability to live with our consciousness inner, which is to shine through. Yeah? And that separation blocks it and makes it inner. There is no more outer consciousness, which is luminous, only inner.
I think they come and steal. They steal it.
Yeah, they steal these perceptions, these luminosities which are coming to us to bridge the inner light to the outer. And then they maintain the gap by this. They maintain the separation of consciousness and power. And on that gap, they can do anything and everything. That's where they live. It's a unique thing. Siv is referring here to the discussions we have on integral paradigm of knowledge, where within this integral paradigm, I was writing today in the morning the email to them because the discussion is going on. In this integral paradigm of knowledge, there are two approaches, two major foundations. One is the faculties of consciousness, our seeing, hearing, speaking, thinking, all these jnanendriyas, as it were. And there are verities of the inner being involved here, of antaryamin, of chaitya purusha, of angushtha matra purusha, who is involved here. And this one, the psychic being, as Sri Aurobindo calls him, he's, or it is, it's not he, it is it, has the verities of all the transcendental qualities of the Divine Mother, of Aditi, so to say, of Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. And these are the verities such as sincerity, humility, perseverance, gratitude, all this courage, goodness, generosity, equality. These are the divine qualities. Aspiration, receptivity. What are these? These are not the faculties of consciousness. This is not seeing, hearing. Where are they coming from? And this is a big question. Yeah? So what Siv is referring to is this, that the panis are twisting exactly there, because then there is no master here. They can really take the light. If the psychic being would be here, with all these varieties of transcendental mother of Aditi, they would never be able to do it. So what they have to do, they have to darken those. The sincerity becomes insincerity. Yeah? There is no more true speech. There is a constant lying, constant manipulating. This is their way of coming to possess our faculties, to possess our sight, hearing, to possess our speech, feeling, thinking. They can possess them.
But surely we have divine will embedded in our consciousness, and surely we can choose as much as possible to not be to not let that part of ourselves take over the other part, to
Of
let that
course.
dark
And
side.
they know this, these funnies. Of course we can.
So we need to do that. I mean, that's our job.
Yes.
As human beings, as evolutionary beings, is to show up and say, sorry buddy, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
And as parents, we know this because we shine the light under the bed so the monsters go away.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Right.
Actually, I read today that exactly this. It's a quite long process in the yoga. It's the first step in the integral yoga. Is actually to distinguish and take a stand on the right side of the attitude. To
Yeah.
detect these coming with suggestions to you to be a little cunning or be whatever.
And that's where the courage comes in, because actually it's not an easy thing to do that, to stand up like that and refuse to participate in that process. And as you pointed out, Vladimir, there's only a limited capacity to even refuse, because we still have to use money, we still have to earn, we still have to spend our time, engaged in things which are absolutely not part of our evolutionary process, except to enable these other forces.
That's where they bribe us, these forces. When Sarama comes to them, the divine intuition, they bribe her. They try to bribe her. And she says, well, no way. Yeah, no way. The Indra comes and you're gone. You know that? So my master is coming after me. I am the first one. I am the running hound. I'm the running dog in front. Yeah, she caught the scent, and she runs after that scent till she finds the source. So she's already there, and Indra is just, a little bit delayed. And in the meanwhile, they try to make her part of their team. They would try to, and they are bribing us. They are constantly bribing us. They tell us, you see, you cannot do it. You will not be able to truly make it if you don't cooperate with us. Let us do it little. It's not big thing. You just a little bit here and little there. You put things together and it works. Look, it's much better. It looks better. But something is happening in that moment.
Yeah. Well, it's like what happened to poor Trump. He needed the money, and he got the money, and now they have
And
him.
now if
Clutches.
he wants to be free, no way. They will
No way.
remind you about the percentage. You have to pay back, yeah, and a huge percentage forever and ever. So they will not leave you. And in that sense, we are stuck more and more. And that's where he asks these questions. Against them, there is no protector. There will be there from one way. There is no worker in this war even. You cannot really do with them much. But there is something what Mother, I just read from the Mother again, that she says there must be a total surrender to the divine. that you
Yes.
rely only on the divine, always, in everything, in the smallest, minutest details, in the big things, small things, doesn't matter. Always only for the divine. If we can do that, then we will be safe.
That is step number 2,
Mm.
actually. When we are able to discriminate these forces and how they work in us, when we see them, we have to call for the light, to call for the strength, the power, the divine, to come and transform them, to stop them.
Well, the Rishi says, let those that took them release them to me again. Now that's not going to happen. Not in our yuga, no yuga that we live in.
And this is what the Saruman tells them, please release the herds because Indra is coming and nothing will save you. Yeah? So that's what she tells them. So release them better. And at the end, we know that Indra comes and with his lightning, he destroys the Vala, this subconscious cave, and the herds of light are released. We know this.
The operative word there is in the end.
Yeah, in the end, yes, correct.
Could be a while.
Could take a while, yes.
In the end.
At the end of the story, of the long story, yeah.
So that's a part of it. I think a lot of the reason that those forces have that that particular bribing capacity is because they offer it quick.
Yes,
They offer
so nice. Nice you say it.
instant
Yes.
because it says in Yoga Sutras, it says Dirga Kala.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dirga Kala.
Yeah, Dirgha Kala. Yeah.
Satu, Dirga Kala. Nairantaraya. Asevatu. It takes a while, and that's the impatience, the rajas, the impatience that drives us into the arms of the panis.
And what they do, they just return our own inner perception to our effectivity. They just give us what belongs to us, and that becomes effective. And we see, wow, it works. Yeah?
It's like a bank. It's like the banks. You have your money in the bank,
Right.
and they're using it. And when you ask for it back, then they say, well, show
Where
us
is,
some ID or something. Show me some. Yeah.
where is my percentage? Yeah, first.
Yeah. Yeah. My
Yes.
money. It's my money in the first place.
Yeah.
Or insurance. That's another one. That's another Pani-driven thing.
Exactly. Insurance is exactly that thing. They
You're
buy
paying
your
them
fear.
you're paying them every single month, and then when you need it, they say, "Well, we're
They
not
have
sure."
to check. Yeah. What?
Oh, yes, somebody entered it the wrong, somebody made a mistake in the keyboard, so therefore we're off the hook.
Yeah. The comma is not in that place. They are very clever. Yeah. Of course, they would not like to give you your wealth of consciousness, that your power becomes effective. It's horrible for them. They lose all their power. So can you imagine you yourself with your consciousness can be effective in your life? No way. You have to have them in between. They have to become fat because of you doing something for yourself. Huh?
Well,
So
so
they,
is the answer in this last sentence then?
Yeah, what is interesting here, how Sri Aurobindo beautifully put it, let those that took them from me release them to me again. It's like Sarama speaking, exactly. In the name of the Rishi, Yajamana. Yajamana is here with the soul, which is looking at it and sees that the consciousness is taken away from power. For with his conscious perceptions, comes driving to us our lost herds of the radiances. Because when he comes, the Indra, or Agni in this case, Indra and Agni both, because Indra and Agni are destroying the Vala. So if with these radiances, there comes back the effectiveness of our consciousness. And in this case, please release it. It will be better for you. Otherwise, you will be smashed, and they will run anyhow. The radiances will be released. It's like Sarama speaks to them, because he is already close with, and why do you keep it? It will be smashed, and they will be released. So this is a very intuitive way of saying that, of course, Rishi already did homework. He did all his sadhana, yoga sadhana. He is already at this stage where he can release his, because he offered himself to Agni totally, to this divine will. He knows his power, that it will be done. The Bala will be destroyed, and the herds of the sun will be released.
Because that is the last step, that when you have become conscious, you have to do the work here.
Right.
And that is the work of transformation, which you have to stay and continue. I always wondered why Sri Aurobindo was so attacked, since he was having such a consciousness. But he took all this work.
Right.
And that is...
Yeah, he says about this, nobody knows what I've been through. It's not visible on the surface. Nobody knows my inner life. I have 1001 open wound, which is very difficult to heal. Yeah, these wounds coming from those battles, from those strikings of the Asuras and Rakshasas, all those creatures in the dark, which don't want that bridge between the light of consciousness and power. They don't want to bridge it. Otherwise, they are all lost. They are gone.
But we all give them force. We all give them force.
Yeah, by trading with them.
To attack those that rise up.
There is no other way for us to go forward. We will have to fight for them, meet them. They will come. The more you become luminous, the more you will have problems. But then the light of consciousness grows in you, and you have more capacity to face them. So it's in equilibrium. They will not give more force to the less light of consciousness. Huh? They will not do it. So more you grow, more the darkness will follow you. So you will have to deal with that darkness. And it is
So
not
when you have an attack, when you get attacked, then even more you need to refuse.
Yes.
Even more you have to, even with the pain. I mean, I'm sure those 1,001 open wounds, and believe me, I get that. You have to accept even the pain from the open wounds, and just keep going and keep resisting.
Right.
Or surrendering, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, well, it's this one and the same thing. In Savitri, he says, surrender was his only strength. He comes to that point where surrender was his only strength. There is no other strength. You are not here to do things. There is the divine which is doing things through you. And if you can give yourself totally to it, it will do what is needed for it, not for you. And here we have a problem. Yeah? Ego has to be removed before it can be done.
It's always, for me, very interesting having done the work with the gems, and everybody comes to me and says, well, I want it to feel good for me, and I want it to look good on me. And I keep trying to tell them that when you take the gemstone and this is not for you, it's an offering. It's an offering, and it's not about what. And you would be so surprised. Everybody says, well, but it has, it has to be for me.
Where
Because
is me in this? Yeah.
I'm not going to spend the money. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Money again. You think it's so easy? It's so much to do to get this gem has to be for me, first of all. That's the signature of the money for me. If it is not there, money is not very happy to come. If it is not for me, well, you know, okay, we will wait for better solution. Look how businessmen work. Yeah? Whenever it is, I never could understand what is motivation for them, what works for them. Never could really figure out. Always surprised. Such a small thing can be a motivation. And a real big and luminous thing is not motivating them. I always wondered.
Well, didn't you say one time on this class that the only real sin is selfishness?
Yeah, it is Sri Aurobindo's aphorism. Yeah, the only sin we have is selfishness. Yeah.
Actually, in the Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo says, there is a period more or less prolonged of internal effort and struggle to reject darkness and distortions of the lower nature. The lower has to be compelled into the right attitude or trained to admit and answer to the right influence. And then he says, this done, surrender can be done because the sacrifice has become acceptable. What does it mean? I'm thinking,
Acceptable to whom?
yeah.
By the divine. Sacrifice is to be accepted by the divine. It's not just sacrifice that I sacrifice by myself, you know. And if divine does not accept it, if your tapasya is not accepted, you will not get the boon. Yeah? You may be in tapasya for thousands of years and Godhead will not come, Brahman will not come. Or
Why? Why would the divine not come if you do the
because it's
work?
not mechanical. It's not a mechanical. You may do the work, but your motivation may be wrong, or your something in you which you do not see. And you did your tapasya severe, you did everything, and the result is not divine. Is not in favor of that result. Divine is not a mechanism. It is something alive. It can choose. It can give something to the person who doesn't do much effort. It's a grace, yeah. And to someone who does a lot of effort may give very little or nothing. And there is no law for this. There is no something that we may we may curse the divine for that it doesn't
The
come.
divine will absolutely, I dispute that, actually. I dispute that. The divine will absolutely never, ever turn you down, ever. It just doesn't give you when you ask for it necessarily. It
Of course,
doesn't
the
give
divine
you,
will never put you down, but
never.
you who is Yajamana, the one who is within you, not the one who is without you. And here we have a problem. Yeah? Because we think that the divine will never put you down, that which, whatever you are outside, that was enough, good enough. No, it's not good enough for the divine. That you inside it will never put down, and it will do the best for its development. Later, when you are already far away from that position, from that trouble, you will see that it was the best for you, for your development. And it was
Absolutely.
supported by
That's
the
called
divine.
surrender.
Yeah.
That's what surrender is just whatever you deliver, I accept, oh Lord. But I just don't think the divine ever really turns away from us, ever.
No, from us, those who are divine in us, no, it doesn't turn from us and will never punish us. It is only our own ignorance which is punishing us and our own decisions. It is true. The divine never punishes and never turns away from us. I agree.
I noticed something in myself. I have, for the last 2-3 months, I have been doing my, so to say, my own process, and I notice a back veil in my life, which always is there, and it's not positive. It is something that it's a pani or panis creating this situation, and whatever I do is hijacked in my motivation by this negative behind. Almost whatever I do, it's a ongoing theme in my life, in the background. It plays very, very low. You can hardly hear it. But when I study like I do now, I see things, and I see this back veil, back carpet, which pops in all the time, small here and there. And it has to do with some kind of, it's the ego, I know this, but I perceive it as a kind of competition. And I don't see myself in my outer being as a competitive person. So I started to think, okay, I don't see myself at all as a competitive person. But behind, there it is. It's not, it's there. It is as everything I think I am not. It is there, but it is behind. So I started to think that all this negativity is in all of us, but we have more or less in front. But the more we go inside, we will discover these layers of darkness, which is there, more and more sublime in the background, coming and working from behind. Those in front we see, we try to deal with them. But the real problem, when we start to look at it and go in, it's behind.
Yeah.
That was my discovery now.
If we identify ourselves with the light within us, yeah, that we are not the darkness, but we are the light which comes into the darkness for the work of the sacrifice, that changes our positioning, and we identify ourselves with different force. So basically, whatever comes from the darkness then will be bearable by us. Whatever wounds, whatever pain, whatever ignorance, everything becomes kind of bearable. Sometimes it is unbearable because we are part of that darkness. Yeah? We are open to it. We are open system. So it flows into us with all its pain and all this ignorance. And so it is becoming difficult to deal with. But still, if we are identified with the light, I am light, not the darkness, as it were. I am that flame within the heart. Once that is established, everything else can be faced and dealt with and noticed. You started to notice this veil all the time hiding something. Competition comes exactly from these forces, because when they trade, this is competing. Yeah? Trading is competing. They give this thing for this particular money, for this particular energy, for you to what? To lose or to be indifferent? No way. You have to win. And this is competition.
But I mean, everybody has these nine, the grahas, and the operative word is graha. They grab you, they seize you. But everybody has them, and to a greater or lesser degree, and they all are, part of our relative, influence.
This is Jyotish already.
Yeah, but and I would say that it seems to me that some of the people who I've known who've had the greatest inner light often seem to have attracted to themselves greater challenges. And I mean, I have a very close friend, and I see this operating with her all the time. She can almost walk through walls. I mean, she's very, but the darker forces seem to rise up to challenge her.
Very true.
And after her challenges began at a very early age. She was abused, and of course it can just be, sometimes it's very discouraging, sometimes it's almost comical. I mean, she moved into an apartment which is it's the last one before the sewer line goes into this under the street, and so everything backs up in her apartment. And
They directed the fresh resistance.
But she is the one. She is the one that will go to the manager and tell her, say, you lied to me, and I can see right through you. So in a miniature scale, the whole drama continues. So we laugh about the sewer, but nonetheless, it would be nice if the lost herds would shine in her direction once in a while.
From inside only, from inside. I noticed in my life, very interesting, I already know it, it's like it's a regular thing, so to say. When I have inner difficulties, I fight within. So the forces of resistance come in the dreams, in thinking, in decision making, and viewing oneself. There is a blockage. When I am unblocked within, and I am fighting those very well, so to say, I am on the right path, inwardly. I managed to reject them, to throw them out, and I managed to stick to light and to the truth, and everything goes well. These resistances come to the outer level, and from outside they hit you. Physically, there can be some accident, there can be the behavior of others physically abusing you, attacking you, and you will have, and that thing, when I see that it comes to without, and then there are problems without, severe like this, what you said, with sewage coming through, this type, it tells me that I am in a right position. I know that they cannot reach you within, so they come from without. They change their tactics. They try to hit you from without. Then you are safe. Then you can build the wall around. Then you can hold on to your inner. But if everything goes well outside, it's an alarming thing. You have to know that, that something is going totally wrong inside.
If you have this lightening up of the darkness, as I say now, the light of knowledge is lighting up some darkness field in me. What happens when we see the darkness? What does the Veda say happens when we see the darkness by the light?
Darkness is totally dispersed or disappearing when the light is coming in. This is the beauty of it. So there is no darkness. It's actually light which separated itself from the Supreme. So once you bring light in, there is light everywhere. What you may see in the darkness, it can be very unpleasant, something hiding in the corner, or some creature, or some energy which wants to sustain and to survive. And then, as Sri Aurobindo beautifully describes in Savitri, that when he comes to the Divine Mother, when he meets the Divine Mother for the first time, Ashwapati meets the Divine Mother in the highest heaven. And then he makes a decision. Maybe I should find this passage, such a beautiful, but time is up. So the passage says that with fire, he torn all the roots out, and bleeding roots of this traitor, of the lower being, he offered to that light. And then afterwards, He goes with fire, searching in the darkness for traitors, hiding in the corners of the darkness. Because of them, we lose the one for whom our lives were made. These are the forces who separate light and effective living. They separated us from our force, our consciousness from our force, and we cannot really, we are losing the one for whom our lives were made. So he searches for the traitors with the light in the darkness. So that's when he brings light into the darkness, you may find some traitors sitting there. And these are panis. These are the forces which grew up in this evolutionary process from the beginning of time. They grew up into this consciousness, what we are today. Sri Aurobindo says they are not enemies, actually. They're just part of that darkness. And they can be and must be transformed. And this is what karma yoga had to do. Karma yoga was meant to turn these actions, activities, karmendriyas in us, into the channels of higher consciousness, not being these robbers and thieves, but becoming channels, pure channels of the divine consciousness. And that is quite difficult to make. All right, shall we stop here? One shloka, my God, not much, but very important shloka. Many interesting discussions. Very glad that we did this. Yeah?
Definitely.
Thank you. It's very nice.
Okay, so I will close the mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam avira virma edi vedasyama ani stha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran sandadhami haritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmam avatu tadvaktaram avatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And look at the next. The king of those who dwell in creatures. He in whom all creatures dwell is hidden within mortals by hostile powers. It's just an affirmation of everything we said here. Just continues the same thought. All right. Okay, so we meet next time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was very interesting.
Thank you. What a wonderful session.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, very wonderful.
Thank
All right,
you.
see you then. See you.